Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Theater of Actors for the premiere production of Irving A. Greenfield's POW. The play will get started momentarily. In the meantime, we ask that you check all electronic devices to make sure they're turned off or at least silenced. Please be aware, this is a military play, so I'm sure we could find some regulation within the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, to charge anyone whose phone does go off during the performance. Please take another moment, double check. All done? Thank you very much. Now please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Come in.
You would hear God if he came in with the radio as loud as it is. I could hear it as soon as I drove into the driveway.
It's a Bernstein recording.
You really ought to wear your hearing aid.
What?
I rang the bell at least 5 times.
Oh, I thought I heard a strange sound.
Any calls?
The usual telemarketing nuisances. And people looking for food stamps. How they got this number for that office, I'll never know. Before food stamps, it was Kissel's Meat Market.
But nothing important.
I don't recall the last time we got an important phone call. Maybe when we were younger, 20 years ago.
That doesn't mean we won't get one.
I'd have to keep it the way it is. Too many phone calls means either something bad has happened or something good. Either way, it's a hassle.
Your answer, I take it, means no.
Right. Now, tell me, how are your kids today?
I can't believe the progress Jan has made in the last few weeks. She's really doing a job on March Slav.
Well, that's your real reward, isn't it?
It's worth more than anything they pay me. I've been giving her some extra time, and the results, well, I already told you about that. Oh, I forgot. How did your reading at the college go?
I don't know.
Oh,
I read waiting.
so?
I broke down.
Oh, what do you mean by I broke down?
You remember near the end of the story where the narrator tells his sister that he had to shoot one of his own men to end the man's suffering?
That's not one of your better stories. Besides, it's the wrong kind of story for a college audience.
It's done. I feel like a damn fool.
In 2 days, no one will remember it happened.
All of a sudden, everything was so real. The heat, the stink of the jungle, the smell of the dead bodies. There were dead Marines there. The warmth of the mortar rounds. And above it all, she got to scream.
Oh, it was a long time ago, Sid. More than 30 years ago.
I don't think anybody understood. Maybe some of my colleagues sympathized. But the students, they probably passed it off to weirdness or old age. Anything they don't immediately understand is either weird or far out. Very few things emotionally move them. They seem inured to anyone else's suffering.
I wouldn't worry about it.
I'm not worried about it, as you put it. But I can't help feeling stupid. You know, you say something foolish, dumb, and you know it, but you say it anyway. And you're right, I could have read something else, but I didn't. I chose to read waiting.
I thought I saw Murray today.
Is Is that why you asked me about phone calls?
I thought...
You know he's not here.
We don't know where he is. We
Yeah.
haven't known for a long time.
If he were here, we'd know about it. We'd know about it because he'd demand money or make threats. Probably both.
I almost ran into the car in front of me. He looks so much older. I think some of his hair is turning gray.
He should look older. It's been 4 years.
I think he saw me.
Do you want tea?
No, thank you. How could you be certain that it wasn't Murray?
How could you be certain it was?
I'd feel better if I knew where he was.
As long as he's not here, I'm satisfied. He has his life, and we have ours.
Maybe something has happened.
If something had happened to him, we'd have been notified. Why the sudden concern? He's been gone a long time.
Maybe too long.
What's that supposed to mean? Are you ready to forget and forgive? Forgive? Forgive and forget. That's the biblical way. The prodigal son returns and you take him back. But don't you remember? We saw the ballet with Edward Villella as the prodigal son. But we're not living in a ballet. At least I'm not. I'm living with the ugly reality that my son struck me. I said, no, that's too mild. He tried to beat me up because I dared to tell him the truth about himself. Something like that you don't forget or forgive.
You were willing to do just that.
That was before he tried to blackmail me for money. With Murray, it was, and probably still is, about money. For both of our sakes, I was willing to let the proverbial past bury the past. But with Murray, you can't give an inch. If you do, he'll see it as a sign of weakness and demand a yard. Or, as the expression goes, the whole 9 yards. Oh, it's tepid. At the reading, after Amanda asked me for a copy of Waiting. She said she was very moved by it.
I can't imagine her being emotionally moved by anything, especially by a story about a mercy killing.
There have been some sharp differences between us lately, mostly about various phases of the curriculum.
You never said anything about that to me before.
Maybe she's going through the changes. Whatever the cause, she certainly has become more difficult. You know, if I weren't tenured, I'm sure she'd have gotten rid of me.
I had no idea things were that bad between the two of you.
That bad covers a lot of ground. But I continue to do what I do and say what I think needs to be said.
What could be so important to either of you to make for such bad feelings?
I refuse to compromise my intellectual integrity.
Oh, and she won't compromise hers.
She doesn't have it. She will do and say whatever she thinks will win her brownie points with the administration.
So you're the fly in her ointment.
I prefer to think of myself in Socratic terms. The gadfly, the conscience of the department.
Are there any other department chairs at the reading?
Charlie Wise from the psych department.
Oh, did he say anything about the story?
Yes. He put his arm around my shoulder and asked if I had made that call.
And what did you answer?
Then, and in that place, I couldn't have made any other.
I'll get it. Yes?
Hi, Louise. It's Iris. How are you?
Iris, I was just about to call you. We were thinking about coming up next weekend.
That's so funny because I was just calling to invite the two of you up.
It won't be any trouble?
No trouble at all. What time will you get here?
We'll be up around lunchtime and then leave after lunch on Sunday.
That'll be lovely. Look forward to seeing you.
Tell everyone we love them.
And give our love to Sid. See you Saturday.
Bye. That was Iris.
I gathered as much. Prepare yourself for the Little League shit. Let's see. If we get up there just before lunch, we'll miss the morning game. Oh, but we'll be in time for the afternoon game and the evening game. And there's sure to be a game Sunday morning, just what we need before the drive home.
I'll call and cancel.
Just stating reality. Your brother, what's the use?
Well, maybe it's a broken record.
Look, we'll go and compare. Besides, it's part of America, the Little League shit. It gives daddies and mommies a second chance, something you don't often get. A chance to be a child again when winning or losing a game meant everything. Didn't your brother tell us that? Didn't he say that winning the championship last year was the happiest day of his life?
Sour grapes.
If that's what you want to think it. But show me one book in your brother's house that isn't a school text or a book on sports.
We have nothing to crow about, even though we gave Murray
Too fucking much! That was our problem. We gave too fucking much. We wanted him to be what neither of us are. Have what neither of us had when we were younger. Something special. We saw what he had, what he was throwing away. But we never saw who he was becoming. Never acknowledged that he was mean and vicious. That in our mating, something in him got twisted. No. We never had a second chance. Probably never had a first chance. We lost the game. He held all the cards. He knew our weaknesses.
Oh, my brother's kids aren't like that.
Oh, good for him!
There's no talking to you. You twist everything around. All right. I didn't see Murray. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I wanted to imagine it. Maybe I can't make myself believe he's not my son when I know he is. Maybe I can't.
Oh, pardon me for living.
No, it's the other way around. Pardon me for living. Pardon me for caring about our son. Pardon me for loving my brother and his children.
Well, it's no different than it's always been, is it?
Now, what's that supposed to mean?
We never could discuss Murray without winding up in an argument. It happened when we were younger, and it's happening now. And I always wind up the villain. But you know something, Louise? I don't mind the role as much as I used to. After all these years, it fits like an old glove.
Oh, you're absolutely impossible. I come home in a good mood and you're here to spoil it.
But you really didn't. Don't you see? You brought Murray home with you, and he doesn't belong here anymore.
All I know is when I opened the door and walked into the house, I was in a perfectly good mood.
Never the good humor man, always the good mood spoiler. That's me. The good mood spoiler.
It's just that I didn't expect to see him.
You don't know
He
that one.
looked just like him.
So do thousands of other men, but only one of them is Murray.
Oh, sometimes you can't even bring yourself to say his name.
I have enormous difficulty saying my own name. Half the time I have a senior moment when I try to think of my name. More when I try to think about who I am.
More what?
Senior moments. Oh, don't tell me you don't get them. They flutter like little birds above your head. And then when one of them lands, bang! A senior moment. When the whole flock lands and refuses to leave, you have what the doctors will call Alzheimer's disease.
Not a very scientific explanation.
Between us, we don't need scientific. We just need something that works for us.
All right. Just For argument's sake, suppose it was Murray. And what would you do if he rang the bell or the phone?
Aren't you going to answer it?
I hate when things like that happen. It's spooky, it's almost supernatural.
It's right there. Answer the phone.
Yes, who's calling?
This is Dr. Howell. Is Dr. Poligan?
It's her.
Who's her?
Amanda, your chair. Recognize her voice.
Are you sure? Dr. Pollock here.
I apologize for
No need. Things happen that cause other things to happen as a result.
Oh, that's certainly true. You might say that's why I'm calling.
Oh?
That story you read, Waiting?
Yes, what about it?
Well, I'd like to discuss it with you. I've thought a lot about it over these past couple hours. I'm meeting with a friend to have him read it.
When would you like to meet?
My office, Friday morning at 11.
No, I have a class.
I appreciate it if you canceled it.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you for your cooperation. I'll see you in my office. Good night.
Good night. We have a meeting in her office Friday morning at 11.
What did she say the meeting would be about?
Waiting. Maybe I misjudged the woman. Maybe she does care about other people.
I wouldn't bet on it. Something else is brewing, and I bet she's the one who's doing the stirring.
I don't know. She sounded affable enough on the phone. Maybe the story has given her a bridge to some other topic.
Like what?
Well, like the discussion of next semester's curriculum. That's been the biggest sore point between us.
When's the last time she phoned you?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Possibly 5, 6 years ago.
She has no reason to call. We don't have any kind of relationship other than professional. Besides, she's not my type. It's too jittery, too uptight.
She said it was about the story.
Yes.
Well, then it's not about next semester's curriculum. It's about the story.
Okay, it's about the story. What's so bad about that?
I never liked that story.
Maybe she did.
Believe what you want to believe.
Why are you always so negative?
Maybe it's because I see things you don't. Like a phone call after 5 or 6 years.
I couldn't very well refuse to meet her.
Just watch your back. Come in. Thank you for coming on such short notice.
I told you once, Amanda, I'm yours to command. That still holds true.
That was a different time and a different place, and we were different people then.
Well, somewhat younger, but as I remember, very much in love. Or at least I do.
Uh-huh, and I'd rather leave the past alone. Come, sit down.
So, what's up?
Well, wanted to know what you thought of the story I sent you.
Well, I'm not much of a critic, but I thought it was well written.
That's not why I asked you to read it.
Well, if you mean what did I think about the ending, I'd have to say he did what he said he did. Especially when you said that he broke down after he read it. I mean, I don't see a point here.
Then he's committed murder.
Well, technically, I suppose the answer to that would be yes. But you have to look at the circumstances.
Then he's gotten away with murder.
Oh, I'm not sure I like where this is going.
Did he not say or write that he killed one of his own men?
Well, he obviously wrote it.
And there isn't a statute of limitations on murder, is there?
No.
Then I want him arrested for the murder of Anthony Cucciata.
What? Why now?
I didn't know about it until 3 days ago.
You put an end to the man's suffering, Amanda.
By his own admission, he shot him in the head.
He didn't execute him.
He murdered him.
There's got to be something more to this.
What do you mean more to this?
Something personal.
I'm doing what any law-abiding citizen would do.
Well, whatever it is, it's going to come out during the trial, or rather, the court-martial, because he's going to be remanded to the military. And I don't want any egg on my face.
And what happened to your wish is my command? Or was that just to see if you could still get to me?
You know, I came here because you sent me a story to read, and you asked me to come here. And that alone should show you where I'm coming from. But what you're asking me to do is very serious. And before I do it, if I do it, I want to know why you want to destroy this man. Because that's what you're going to be doing. Even if he wins, he loses. Do you understand that?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, then tell me what I want to know.
I don't care to be cross-examined.
And I don't give a shit what you care or don't care about. This isn't some fucking namby-pamby academic bullshit that you're fooling around with.
All right. All right. We've had some very sharp differences over this past year. He doesn't believe in such academic ideas as globalization or diversity or even women's studies as separate and distinct subjects worth studying. He just doesn't see where academia is going.
Yeah, but is that enough to destroy it?
Anything that comes between me and what I think the goals of this institution should be, in this world where we function, the answer has to be yes. We see the goals of a college education very differently.
And you think that's enough of a reason to destroy this man? Oh, come on, Amanda. Let me hear all of it. I want to hear all of it.
Okay, all right, have a seat. There's been some talk of the provost moving on to greener pastures, a presidency at a different college. And the board of directors have decided not to go outside for a search. They want someone from the faculty to fill this position. My name was mentioned, along with 2 others, as his possible successor. I want that job, Robert. It will give me an opportunity to rebuild this institution into a university. I have a vision of what this college can become if I'm its provost. I can change it from Bridge College to Bridge University.
Question still remains. Is it enough?
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. I would not only be this college's first woman provost, but also the university's. Possibly its first woman president. That, Robert, would be the achievement of my life. And I know I can do it. I know it.
And you think Dr. Pollock will try to stop you?
Oh, I'm sure he'll try. His was one of the other 2 names that came up.
And who's the third leg on this triangle?
A lightweight, not important. But Dr. Pollock is. He's well respected here, holds a full professorship, has been published many times, worldwide, even some fiction.
Does he even know he's being considered for this
No,
position?
no.
Well, how do you know?
I have my sources.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Academia is as much a jungle as any corporate entity.
Well, since the crime was committed while he was in the service and serving in a foreign country, he's going to be turned over to the military. There's going to be an investigation. If they find sufficient grounds for a trial, he's going to be tried under Article 118 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. If he's found guilty, he could be sentenced to death
He murdered one of his own men.
under what seems to be very extenuating circumstances, Amanda.
Murder is murder.
All right. So, what's in it for me? I mean, the paperwork alone on this is going to be staggering.
you want.
I want you.
You never were one to play games.
I'm still a bachelor,
I'm still married.
and I haven't heard an answer. Louder, I want to hear it.
Yes, why not?
You go first,
No, you.
please. We only have a half hour.
Are you all right?
How could I be anything but all right? All of my basic needs are met. Except for this one. I miss you.
I miss you too.
I have a lot of time to read it here. And of course, think about what's happened to me. How it happened.
Colonel Martin says you're not cooperating with him.
That's his opinion and he's entitled to it.
He's trying to save your life, trying to...
Why? So I can spend the rest of my years in Leavenworth? That isn't my idea of living out what is euphemistically referred to as my golden years. I'd rather it didn't come to that. That would be dead without being dead. I never wanted to live for the sake of hanging on. At this juncture in my life, living really doesn't mean much unless I can do it on my own terms.
What about me? Where do I fit into your terms?
Do you remember when I had prostate cancer and I was having a hard time deciding between the surgery and the radiation treatment with the seeding? Do you remember what you said to me? You said it was my life and I would have to make the decision. Do you remember that?
Yes, but this is different. You're not sick.
It's still my life, isn't it? I don't have a defense. I already admitted to having shot Cucciata.
Is your guilt so large that you're willing to die for it?
No, it isn't. But there's something more important than my guilt or innocence. Something larger than the worth of my own life.
Oh, your damn principles.
I did what I believe and still do believe was the merciful thing to have done.
Colonel Martin is giving serious consideration to a plea of temporary insanity, but he will need your permission.
I've already gone down that road with him and I turned back. I was scared then. All of us were. I was no more insane then than I am now.
You're throwing what is left of our lives away.
I have loved you for more than a half century. We've had a good life together. Yes, there was and is Murray. He's something that we'll have to carry around like sacks for the rest of our lives. And like all marriages, we've had our share of bumps. But now, I'm facing something that has nothing to do with you.
For the love of God, will you tell me what it is?
I can't define it.
Try.
No!
I can't understand what you're trying to prove.
That I'm not guilty of murder. Yes, maybe I'm trying to prove that I did the right thing, the humane thing. Tell me, what's going on at the college? I certainly put them in the limelight, though not quite the way the administration would have wanted.
From the people I spoke to, I gathered that there are two factions.
I guess that.
There are those who think that Amanda did the right thing, and there are those who think she was out to get you and did.
Has the president or provost phone?
Oh, you can't expect them to
After
call.
30 years of service, I can and do expect them to at least call you and ask how I'm doing. It's not every college that can boast of having a murderer on their faculty for so many years.
Several of the students have called. They're circulating a Save Dr. Sidney Public petition around the campus.
I've always loved my students. Always tried to give them the best I could give.
They know it, sir.
I know. What is it?
I saw Murray.
Sooner or later, I knew he'd turn up.
That time, I saw him on the
All
street.
right,
and you-
it was him. Tell me what difference it makes now.
He's retained a lawyer.
Why? Nobody's going to go after him.
He wants me to sign a power of attorney, or he'll
I
go-
knew there would be an or. What does he want this time?
He wants to declare us mentally incompetent so that he can take control of our assets.
God, what a devil we produced. A devil.
He says it's either or.
He still doesn't understand me. You would think it. How many years has it been?
Who knows how many as well as I do?
4 years. You would think in that span of time he would have learned something about himself, about me, about the relationship we once had and no longer do.
Oh, he still sees himself.
He's created a fantasy for himself. He needs it to live. Destroy the fantasy, and he has no reason to live. I guess he figures I'm as good as dead, so why not take advantage of this situation?
What should I do?
To use a cliche, fight fire with fire. Hire a lawyer. No, better yet, call Dr. John McNeil at the college. He's a good friend of mine, and he's a top-rate lawyer. Explain the situation to him, and...
I've already spoken to him.
And?
He said, under the circumstances, he doesn't want to get involved.
Well, so much for friendship.
But he did tell me something that is important.
Oh, then I misjudged the man. Like, half or some other fraction of friendship is better than none. Louise, it can't be any worse than everything else in my life right now.
Your pension is in jeopardy.
What?
There's something. Something in the bylaws that states if a faculty member is convicted of a felony, then half of your pension is automatically forfeited. And the money that the college put in over the years, it just goes to the general college fund. No one ever gave that clause any consideration because it never had to be used before.
Well, at least it'll keep Murray from getting anything.
If the college takes your pension, I'll be left with nothing except my Social Security, which doesn't amount to much.
Hire a lawyer. There's got to be a loophole in that clause, something to nullify it. I know this is difficult for you. I'm sorry to have brought you to it. I thought our lives together would be different. That would have a gentleness, would give us a feeling of contentment. But that's not what we have. Neither of us saw or wanted to see what Murray was becoming until he was what he is today. And now it's too late. It's too late.
I'm so afraid. So afraid.
So am I.
Mr. Phelps has offered to assist.
Louise wrote and told me.
Why? Because you're not guilty.
I confessed. This trial has nothing to do with my guilt or innocence. It has to do with I stand between Life in prison? In debt. If I had my choice, the latter is what I choose.
I know what it has to do with. But confessing to committing a crime and actually being guilty of having committed that crime, those are two different things. Where the law is concerned, especially in this situation.
I will not throw myself on the mercy of the court.
Colonel Martin already told me that.
Donald, Mr. Phelps understands that. Now, this case has attracted a lot of media attention, especially since the prosecuting officer is Captain William Tyson. Well, he's a Naval Academy graduate, he's a Vietnam vet, with a Navy Cross, 2 Silver Stars, 3 Purple Hearts, and a reputation for going for the jugular.
Formidable.
Yeah, he's a powerhouse, and he'll go for the maximum sentence.
But there is a pro group that's calling for your freedom. And there's another one that's demanding you be executed. Both groups have very strong political backing. There is a lot of media attention. It's brought back a lot of the divisions formed during the Vietnam War. Oh, it's also asked a very important question about how we treat people who are terminally ill and unable to sustain themselves.
We never wanted to be divisive.
You aren't, but the questions raised by this situation are. Look, how do the men in here treat you?
Most say I did the right thing.
Most, meaning not all.
Not all.
Well, are you in any danger from those who feel that...
No.
Louise told me that you kept in touch with several of your men after the war.
2. Patrick Lifey, he was my radio. And John Thompson, he was my platoon sergeant. We lost most of our men in subsequent actions.
We're looking for those 2 men.
Why?
Well, hopefully to find out what really happened.
I already told everyone what happened.
From your point of view. But there were always other points of view.
Suppose you find them, and they confirm.
I'm gambling they won't.
But suppose they do.
Did you ever see the film Rashomon?
Yes.
That's what we're hoping for. Another point of view from someone who was there.
Patrick became an electronics engineer. He went to work for Bell Labs for a few years. As for John, I never knew what he did. But he always had a lot of money. I suspect he had connections to the mob, but that's just a guess. What's your stake in all of this?
I'm not really sure.
Well, it can't be money. I don't have any.
Ego, perhaps? This is my Mount Everest, and I want to see if I can climb it.
My guess is you don't have the staying power.
That wasn't called for, Sid.
At this juncture in my life, do you think you or anyone else has the right to tell me what is or is not called for?
Well, why don't you test me then, Sid? Go ahead. If you sense that I'm faltering, you can tell me to get lost.
Donald,
That's right. I'm a has-been. I've had too much of everything. Money and women and booze.
One has-been is enough.
You're being obstinate.
I have enough wrong with my life. I don't need to add a has-been trial lawyer.
All right, have it your own way. But would you mind answering just 2 questions? As a courtesy,
2 questions.
are you sure no one fired a round when you did?
Absolutely sure.
Would you have known if another round was fired at exactly the same instant?
None was.
Answer the question.
No.
Second question.
Don't you mean 3rd question?
Well, my first question had 2 parts to it.
Okay. Your 2nd question.
How far would your son go to damage you?
There are surveillance cameras trained on the 3 of us. Okay.
Who told you?
Just answer the question.
Probably all the way.
Well, he has agreed to be a witness for the prosecution.
Give me a moment.
Take whatever time you need.
Are you telling me the cards are stacked against me?
No, but your answer to my first question is an open to challenge. And your answer to my second question requires that your son's credibility be destroyed and his motive be revealed.
My failure. It's difficult to fail with your own son and succeed with the sons of other men.
Well, your life is at stake. And if he's in the way, he must be dealt with. Harshly if necessary. This is not a game.
If you think I think that, then I sorely misjudged you.
I apologize. I put that bad hole.
In a way, all trials are games. Defense versus the prosecution. Or if you're on the other side, it's the prosecution against the defense. Move and counter move, all to convince those who are sitting in judgment of you that you are innocent.
All right, Mr. Phelps. I am not innocent. I confessed. This trial has nothing to do with my guilt or innocence. It has to do with whether I spend the rest of my life in a place like this or worse, or I'm executed. And lately, the latter has begun to look more enticing.
I hear you. One more question, sir.
Ask it.
Did you know that you were one of 3 faculty members being considered by the college's board of directors for the position of provost?
No, I had no idea.
Dr. Amanda Howell was one of the other 2.
Who was the third?
In this situation, only Dr. Howell matters.
You
It
think?
doesn't matter what I think, Sid. It's what Colonel Martin and I make the court think. That's all that matters.
I gave her exactly what she needed to get me out of the way.
I hope she believes that. The more she does, the easier it will be for us to break her. And break her we will. We must, if you are to live.
I've been given some serious consideration to us, our relationship.
Oh, do you want to tell me about it?
Well, yeah, like getting married.
I'm already married.
Well, it's not much of a marriage if you're here with me.
I told you when we began that I can't let this out to the university at all. Or,
That was then, this is now. And I don't like the idea of you fucking another man.
I hate that word.
Well, it's real. It's honest.
It's too real, too honest.
Tell me you don't do it with Peter.
Seldom. He's not particularly interested and has somewhat of a problem staying the course.
Well, then leave him. I fall in love with you.
And I with you.
So where's the problem?
Oh yeah, for you nothing. You're a bachelor. For me, everything. I'm married with 2 teenage children. I have a history of 2 families. Mine and Peter's, 3 if you count, our immediate family. Believe it or not, it's often the cement of the family history that holds a marriage together.
You love Peter?
Not with any passion.
God damn it, leave him. Get a life, a real life.
But I do love him in other ways. We share so much. Literature, art, music. Tell me, what do you do on a Sunday afternoon?
Watch football.
Uh-huh. We go to a museum or a concert. Yeah, there's a difference, Robert, a very big difference between us. Love isn't just what happens here. It's made up of more intangibles than we can count.
And how long are we going to remain lovers?
I don't know. I can't see into the future any more than you can. Your feelings could shift, as could mine. One of the advantages of a love affair is that neither partner is bound to the other.
You go away with me for a few days after the court martial?
I'll try. I don't want to arouse Peter's suspicions.
Why, is he suspicious now?
Oh, probably. He's upset about my involvement in the court martial. He thinks I should have, as he says, let the sleepy dog lie.
Does he know about your possible appointment to the
No,
presidency?
no, no. If I had told him, it would have required more explaining than I would have wanted to do. And that would have made him furious. He's not at all Machiavellian.
You said he was probably suspicious.
Oh, he wouldn't say anything, unless he was forced to. He doesn't like seeing that. It's not in his nature to seek a confrontation.
Is that why you married him?
Certainly has made my life easier.
You haven't answered my question. Will you go away with me for a few days?
I can't answer that. There aren't any guarantees to life. I don't particularly like being your whore.
You're not. I told you, I love you.
I am. That's my reality. I'm in love with you, and I would love to be married to you, but I'm married to another man. It's a situation we have to accept.
Reluctantly.
Yes, reluctantly. Hold me.
I love you.
Hold me closer, tighter.
It's been a long time coming. It's going to be a long time gone.
And it appears to be a long, appears to be a long, appears to be a long
time. It's a long, 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 long time before the dawn.
Are there any objections to the charges and specifications as read?
None, sir.
Colonel Martin,
None, sir.
the court is ready to hear the prosecution's opening statement.
Sir, my opening statement will be mercifully brief. The accused, former First Lieutenant 014562, commanding officer of the 3rd Platoon, 8th Marines, 2nd Infantry Division, did, sometime between 1300 and 1330, on December 17, 1970, at Khe Sanh, Vietnam, willfully shoot and wrongfully kill Private First Class Anthony Cucciata, serial number 629-78748. The lieutenant has already admitted his guilt and signed the necessary confession forms. But in order to satisfy the demands of the military justice system, we will produce the necessary proof of his culpability so that we may ask for the maximum penalty, death, by lethal injection, as prescribed by the Secretary of Defense.
Have you concluded your opening statement?
Yes, sir, I have.
Colonel Martin, are you ready with the defense's opening statement?
Yes, sir, I am.
Proceed.
Gentlemen, Captain Tyson said he would be mercifully brief, and he was. But whether a man lives or dies is not something to be mercifully brief about. It requires from each of us our maximum effort, even if we are capable of it beyond our maximum effort, to present the truth, and thereby give this court the necessary wisdom to render a just decision. that former First Lieutenant Sidney Pollock admitted shooting Private First Class Anthony Cucciata is already part of the record. But the defense will show that all of the circumstances that have brought all of us in this room to this juncture are, if nothing else, fortuitous. No, I retract the word fortuitous and I replace it with the words mendacity, greed, and an ambition so terrible that it would trample all that stands before it, even the life of another human being, by resurrecting an act of mercy. Yes, an act of mercy that took place 30 years ago when Lieutenant Sidney Pollock shot and possibly killed one of his own men.
Have you concluded your opening statement?
Yes, I have.
Captain Tyson, call your first witness.
I call former First Lieutenant Sidney Pollock. Please state your name, former rank, and the unit to which you were assigned in December of 1970.
Sidney Pollock, Lieutenant, 3rd Platoon, 8th Marines, 2nd Division,
And what was your function?
platoon leader.
By leader. You mean commanding officer of 36 men, don't you?
Yes,
And were you with your platoon on December 17th?
yes,
You were pinned down by enemy fire.
is that a question or a statement, Captain?
Don't attempt to duel with me, Lieutenant. You'll lose.
Objection! Prosecution has shown a subjective dislike for the accused.
Overruled. Captain Tyson, pose your questions as questions.
Yes, sir. Were you in fact pinned down by enemy fire?
Yes, heavy mortar and machine gun fire from the NVA troops.
And immediately before that situation occurred, was your point man, Private Anthony Cucciata, captured by the NVA troops?
Yes,
Will you please tell the court what the NVA troops were doing?
no. Know it all. They were torturing him, bayoneting him!
Order in my court! Lieutenant Pollock, resume your place.
Objection. Prosecutor is subjecting the accused to needless mental anguish.
The accused killed one of his own men.
An act of mercy.
Order! Captain Tyson, though your personal feelings are understandable, I remind you to keep them completely isolated from your professional duty in my court.
I apologize to the court. Please look at that and tell the court what it is.
It's the last page of my story waiting.
Please read the portion that is highlighted in yellow. But first, tell the court who the character Rose is in the story.
The narrator's sister.
And who is the narrator?
I am.
Please. Read.
Rose took another step back and looked toward the door. Forget it, Rose, I'd only come after you. Why are you doing this, she rasped. I don't know. Perhaps I need to, I answered and grabbed hold of her wrists. You're going to listen. She didn't try to pull away. Cucciata's screams spooked the men. They spooked me. We couldn't move. The NVA pinned us down with mortar fire. We hugged the ground. Cucciata's agony increased our own. The only way to stop it was to kill the NVA and Cucciata. But that meant 4 shots. Enough to give our position away. I could risk one shot, but not four. One shot for Cucciata. Rose suddenly tried to pull away, but I tightened my hold. I couldn't ask any of my men to do it. I had to do it. And I did. I raised my rifle and aimed it at Anthony Cucciata's head. And squeezed the trigger. The screaming stopped.
Objection. That's completely out of context.
It's a statement of what the accused did.
Objection overruled.
I have no further questions, but reserve the right to recall the witness at any time.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine?
I have no questions at this time, but reserve the right to recall the witness at any time.
Granted. Lieutenant Pollock, you're excused. Captain Tyson, have you any additional witnesses?
Yes, sir. Several.
Have they been sworn in?
Yes, sir.
Call your witness.
I call Mr. Murray Pollock.
The court calls Mr. Murray Pollock.
Please, state your name and relation to the accused.
Murray Pollock, the prisoner, is my father.
I have only one question, Mr. Pollock. Did the accused ever mention in your presence that he had killed one of his own men?
Yes.
No further question, but we request that the witness be available for recall.
Captain Tyson, for the court, that yes needs slightly more definition. Mr. Pollock, will you please explain to the court the specific circumstance in which your father told you about the incident in Vietnam?
Whenever he thought I wasn't acting like a man, it was a macho thing with him.
And how often did he do this?
Frequently.
And finish with the witness. Does the defense wish to cross-examine?
Yes, sir.
Proceed.
Mr. Pollock, you just told the court that reminding you about the incident in Vietnam was a macho thing with your father. Would you please explain to the court what you meant by that?
Objection. The defense is asking the witness to define that which does not need to be defined.
Sustained. I think we all understand what the witness said.
Mr. Pollock, sometime before your father was arrested, did you make certain financial demands on your father, which he refused?
Objection. Family matters are extraneous to the matter before the court.
Well, the witness is here.
Objection sustained.
I have no further questions, but request that the witness be available for recall.
The witness is excused and is to hold himself available to this court. He is cautioned not to discuss his testimony with anyone until the proceedings of this court are complete. Mr. Pollock, you are excused. Captain Tyson, your next witness.
I call Dr. Amanda Howell to the stand.
The court calls Dr. Amanda Howell.
Would you please state your name?
Dr. Amanda Howell.
Dr. Howell, do you know the accused?
Yes, he's Dr. Sidney Pollock, professor of English at Bridge College.
And who is the chair of that department?
I am.
And were you present when former Lieutenant Sidney Pollock, now Dr. Sidney Pollock, read his story Waiting to members of the student body and faculty of Bridge College?
Yes.
Can you tell the court exactly what happened when he came to the end of the story?
He broke down and wept.
Did he say anything immediately after he stopped reading?
Yes.
To the best of your recollection, can you tell the court what he said?
I had to do it. He was so young, so young. He repeated that to himself several times.
And what was your reaction?
Well, at first I felt very sorry for Sid. It was clear he was suffering emotionally. Then I realized that he had admitted to having killed one of his own men, that he committed murder.
Objection! The witness has drawn a conclusion.
Sustained. Strike that he had committed murder from the record.
How long after that did you decide to contact the police?
Sometime that evening, I decided I would be remiss if I didn't bring this matter to the attention of the police.
I am finished with the witness.
Would the defense like to cross-examine?
Certainly would, General.
Proceed.
How long have you and Detective Lieutenant Robert Gordon known each other?
For many years.
Did you know him before your marriage?
Objection. Counsel is obviously attempting to connect.
Oh, I withdraw the question. But will you kindly tell this court the bargain you struck with Detective Lieutenant Robert Gordon?
Objection. The defense is trying to establish a quid pro quo situation between Dr. Howell and Detective Lieutenant Robert Gordon.
General, the accused has already admitted his guilt. Now the court is here to determine whether he lives or dies, or is released without punishment. I believe you call that jury nullification. Given the gravity of the court's decision, I am sure the court would want to know how, after over 30 years, the accused finds himself placed where he is now.
Counselor, there is no need for you to remind the court of the gravity of the situation.
I apologize to the court. My comment was certainly not intended to denigrate the court's perception of the gravity of the situation, simply to heighten its awareness.
Your
of the
apology is
issues
accepted,
involved.
Counselor. Now, please, explain to the court what you meant by a bargain struck between Dr. Howell and Detective Lieutenant Robert Gordon.
Oh, exchange of favors?
Objection. The counselor's use of language is an attempt to establish a relationship between the witness and Detective Lieutenant Robert Gordon.
Objection sustained.
Doctor, are you aware that you and the accused were candidates for the provost position at Bridge College?
Objection. That has absolutely no bearing on this trial.
General, the accused's name is no longer on that list.
Objection. That comment is out of order.
Order in my courtroom! Counselor, let me warn you against making extraneous comments in my court. I will not tolerate them.
I apologize to the court.
Counselor's last comment will be stricken from the record. Now, Counselor, proceed with your questions.
I have no further questions for this witness, but request she be held available for recall.
The witness is excused and is to hold herself available to the court. She's cautioned not to discuss her testimony with anyone until the proceedings of this court are complete. Dr. Howell, you're excused. Captain Tyson, do you wish to call an additional witness?
Yes, sir. One, Detective Lieutenant Robert Gordon.
The court calls Detective Lieutenant Robert Gordon.
Please state your name and occupation.
Detective Lieutenant Robert Gordon, the New York City Police Department. I head up the homicide squad at the Midtown North Precinct in Manhattan.
You were the officer who arrested the accused.
Yes.
And did the accused sign a written confession for the civilian authorities?
Yes.
No further questions.
Has either of the defense counselors questions?
Yes, General, I have.
Proceed.
I have one question, Lieutenant. Are you and Dr. Howell lovers?
Objection! Objection! The answer to that question is not pertinent to the information that the court needs to pass sentence on the accused.
Captain Tyson, I will determine what information is pertinent to this case. Objection overruled. The witness will answer the question.
Yes.
I have no further questions, but request that the witness be available for recall.
witness is excused and is to hold himself available to this court. He's cautioned not to discuss his testimony with anyone until the proceedings of this court are complete. You are excused, Detective. Captain Tyson, do you have any more witnesses?
None, sir.
Colonel Martin, call your first witness.
Lieutenant Sidney Pollock. Dr. Pollock.
Objection. This is a military court. Counsel will address...
The counselor will address the accused by his former military rank.
Lieutenant Pollock, would you explain to the court what the story waiting is about?
Brother and sister are at the hospital waiting for their younger sister to die. Through a combination of their conversation, flashbacks, and the narrator's comments, the reader enters their world, their family dynamic, and their current turmoil.
Would it be safe to say that you are the narrator?
Yes.
And would it be safe to say that you were prepared to end your sister's suffering by...
Counselor, you're entering a very dangerous area.
I'm aware of that, sir.
Lieutenant Pollock, please tell the court what the character in the story intended to do.
Overdose his sister on morphine.
Why?
She was terminally ill with multiple myeloma. She was in a coma. There was nothing could be done for her.
Did you do it?
No.
This record comes from Lieutenant Pollock's story, Waiting. Will you read the part that's highlighted?
I faced the window and lit a cigarette. I did not want Ellen to live anymore. She should not have lived this long. I came prepared to kill her to end her suffering. No dose of morphine would do it. It was easy to do through the IVs. I had watched the nurses give her medication the same way. Or if I couldn't do it through an IV, I'd give her a massive shot. Enough to kill her.
Objection. The defense would have us believe that mercy demands murder when the person who is the victim cannot speak on his own behalf.
I would have this court believe that the accused did not wantonly kill Private First Class Anthony Cucciata, but that he, the accused, not only acted humanely, but acted in the best interest of his men.
Objection sustained. Colonel Martin, are you finished with the witness?
Yes.
Captain Tyson, do you wish to cross-examine?
Yes, sir, I do.
Proceed.
Lieutenant Pollock, I have only one question. It is the same question that I asked at the beginning of these proceedings. Did you, or did you not, aim your rifle at Private First Class Anthony Cucciata's head and squeeze off a round?
Yes, sir, I did.
No further questions.
Lieutenant Pollock, you're excused.
Oh, with the court's permission, I would like to call Sergeant John Thompson to the stand.
Objection! The court has just heard the accused acknowledge his guilt.
Well, the defense has the right to introduce any witness it thinks would assist the court in its determination of an appropriate punishment, if any.
Colonel Martin, why should the court entertain listening to another witness for the defense when the accused has again admitted his guilt to the court?
Sir, he was with the accused when the incident occurred. He was the unit's platoon sergeant.
Objection overruled. Has the witness been sworn in?
Yes, sir.
The court calls Sergeant John Thompson.
Hello, Skipper.
John?
Sergeant Thompson, were you with the accused on December 17th at Quezon, Vietnam?
Yes, sir. It's in the unit's official records. I was the unit's platoon sergeant.
Could you describe the situation for the court?
Well, we were about 2, maybe 3 miles from the main body. I ran into a battalion of North Vietnamese regulars. We came under heavy machine gun and mortar fire. We face down in the mud.
And where was Private First Class Anthony Cucciata?
The North Vietnamese had him. He was our point man and they grabbed him.
And what was happening to Private First Class Cucciata?
They were using him for bayonet practice.
And what did Lieutenant Sidney Pollock do?
Do? What could he do? Like the rest of us, he just listened to the screams of Cucciata. He begged the NBA to kill him!
Did anything else happen?
We watched the skipper.
Did he do anything unusual?
He aimed his rifle. He raised it and aimed it at Cucciata.
And he fired.
Yes. All of us fired.
Objection!
Overruled. Please, continue, Colonel Martin.
So, all of you fired at Private First Class Cucciata when Lieutenant Pollock did.
Objection, that is hearsay. It cannot be confirmed.
Overruled. Sergeant, are you sure that you and the men shot at the same time?
I fired my weapon and the men fired their weapons. That way, no one really knew who killed Cucciata. My guess was he was already dead before we fired.
And what makes you say that?
Well, it was all him. Those fucking gooks! They kept going at him! They kept stabbing him!
Objection! With the... It is hearsay. It cannot be confirmed. Cucciata might have fainted.
Objection sustained.
I have no further questions.
Captain Tyson, do you wish to cross-examine?
Yes, General, I do.
Proceed.
Sergeant Thompson, what is your profession?
I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Could you be a little more explicit?
Mostly I gamble.
Seems to me a lot of gambling has been taking place in this room today. Further questions?
Objection! Counsel is providing this court with his own editorial comments.
Objection sustained. Captain Tyson, please be reminded what I said to you about keeping your personal feelings out of my court.
I apologize, sir.
The witness is excused and is to hold himself available to this court. He's cautioned not to discuss his testimony with anyone until the proceedings of this court are complete. You're excused, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. None of us ever forgot that day, Skipper.
Thanks.
Gentlemen, we have a problem here. Namely, 2 different versions of the same event.
With all due respect to the court, the issue is not one that presents a problem. If we had every member of the platoon here, I dare say we'd have as many versions of the event as there were men. But none would matter other than the one that was given by the accused.
Yes, well, I have some questions of my own for Lieutenant Pollock.
The accused will be happy to answer any of your questions.
Lieutenant Pollock, please take the stand. Lieutenant Pollock, what happened after you shot Private First Class Anthony Cucciata?
We were attacked by the NVA infantry.
And to the best of your recollection, how long did action last?
About 15 minutes.
And were there any casualties?
5 dead. And 8 wounded, including myself.
You were wounded?
Yes, sir. In the left shoulder and right thigh.
And you still led the men back to the company?
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Pollock, what happened after you rejoined your company?
I don't recall much after that. I was medevaced out, and sometime later I woke up in Saigon.
Lieutenant, before you wrote your story, did you tell anybody about the incident in Vietnam?
My wife,
And you told your sister also, didn't you?
yes, sir.
Why?
Our younger sister was dying. I wanted her dead. She had become a thing, alive, but at the same time dead.
Like Private First Class Anthony Cruciano.
Yes, sir.
The accused may return to the table for the defense. Ordinarily, at this time I would ask the counselor for the prosecution and the counselor for the defense to offer their summations, but this has been a very unique trial, even to calling a last-minute witness for the defense, that I'm going to dispense with the usual summations and instead ask the accused to address the court on his own behalf. He need not take the stand.
Thank you, sir. In my mind, I am guilty as charged. Yet then and now, I still believe I did the right thing, the humane thing. I didn't and still do not recall the sound of any other weapon firing but the sound of my own as I squeezed the trigger. Though many years have passed since then, that event has hung around my neck like an albatross. But unlike the ancient mariner whose albatross fell away when he recognized the beauty of all living things, mine will be there until the day I die. Here in this court sit men who have been where I have been, who have heard their men scream and cry for help, and oftentimes for death as a way to end their suffering. Because of that, I share with you, and you share with me, commonality. We are and will always be POWs, prisoners of war. We are captives to experiences we cannot share with another human being. And oftentimes, not even with ourselves. And when that happens, we retreat into a form of mental illness, or we take our own lives. I am ready to receive whatever punishment the court deems is necessary. Thank you, gentlemen.
Captain Tyson, do you have any additional questions?
No, sir.
Colonel Martin, do you have any additional questions?
None, sir.
The court will now retire and consider what sentence to render.
Give me an F. Give me a U. Give me a C. Give me a K. What's that spell? What's that spell? What's that spell? What's that spell? What's that spell?
Well, come on, all of you big strong men. Uncle Sam needs your help again. Got himself in a terrible jam way down yonder in Vietnam. Put down your books and pick up a gun. We're gonna have a whole lot of fun. And it's 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. The next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7. Open up the pearly gates. Well, there ain't no time to wonder why. We're all gonna die. Now come on, Wall Street, don't be slow. Why, man, this is war a go-go. There's plenty good money to be made, supplying the army with the tools of the trade. Just hope and pray that if they drop the bomb, they're dropping on the Viet Cong. And it's 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. The next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7. Open up the pearly gates. Well, ain't no time to wonder why. We're all gonna die. Now come on, generals, let's move fast. Your big chance is here at last. Now you can go out and get those reds, cause the only good commie is one that's dead. And you know that peace can only be won when you've blown all the kingdom comes. Sing it! 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Louder! Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7. Open up early gates. Well, I ain't no time to wonder why. Listen, people, I don't know how you expect to ever stop the war if you can't sing any better than that. There's about 300,000 of you fuckers out there. I want you to start singing. Come on. And it's 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. The next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7. Open up the pearly gates. Well, I ain't no time to wonder why. We're all gonna die. Now come on, mothers throughout the land. Pack your boys off to Vietnam. Come on, fathers, don't hesitate. Send your sons off before it's too late. Be the first one on your block. Have your boy come home in the box. All right. 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. The next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7. Open up pearly gates. Well, I ain't no time to wonder why. We're all gonna die. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen.